long before maps were drawn, before men knew what lay beyond the edge of the known world. There were the Vikings. They were not just raiders and warriors. They were explorers, the greatest the world had ever seen. They crossed the uncharted seas in dragon-headed ships, guided only by the stars and their own fearless instincts. They found new lands before the world even had names for them, places that would remain as legends for centuries. While others clung to the shores, the Vikings pushed into the unknown, their sails catching the winds of fate. They didn't just survive the wilderness, they conquered it, carving out existence in the harshest of lands, where the ice never melted, where the storms howled like gods in fury. They embodied the true spirit of adventure, with a willingness to go beyond what is known, no matter what the cost. This is the story of a man who sought the edges of the map, but as he would learn, exploration is not just about distance travelled. It's about what it does to you, and the Arctic doesn't let you go unchanged. Some people are born with an itch that can't be scratched by ordinary life. They look at a map and they see empty spaces, challenges, invitations, promises of the unknown. Where others find comfort in routine, these people thrive on risk, on the sheer thrill of pushing past human limits. They are the seekers, the ones who trade comfort for the possibility of something more. But adventure isn't just about glory, it's about survival. It's about what happens when the thrill wears off, when the cold sets in, and when the loneliness digs its claws into your mind. Few people knew this better than Ejnar Mikkelsen. As we've discussed before on this channel, life isn't boring unless you let it. Mikkelsen is proof of that, even when fighting off frostbite, bears, starvation, and the creeping madness of absolute isolation. Some people crave adventure, others, adventure hunts them down. Mikkelsen was one of those people, like his ancestors, a legendary Danish explorer. He was a man who refused to sit still, and in 1909 he set out on a mission that would see him and his companion, Iver Iversen, lost in the Arctic, surviving in the snow-covered abyss and slowly losing their grip on reality. And when he was finally rescued, they took a spine-chilling photograph. Stick around and watch till the end to see it. You might not know the story, but you'll know that look in his eyes. As they say, the eyes are the window to the soul. Let's go back. Let's see what 2 years alone in the Arctic does to a man. Let's see the story behind these particular eyes. Mikkelsen's story starts with politics. According to the US, Greenland was not a single island, but was divided by the Peary Channel, and therefore claimed that part of the territory as its own. Denmark wanted to stake its claim over Greenland, but to do that, they needed proof that the land was theirs. The proof existed. Maps and documents left behind by a previous expedition. The problem? That expedition vanished into the ice, leaving their records somewhere deep in the frozen wilderness. Mikkelsen, never one to back down from a challenge, volunteered to go find them. He set sail with a crew on the Alabama, a sturdy but doomed ship that was supposed to get them there, grab the documents and get out. Only that's not how it went. The ship got trapped in the ice at Shannon Island. The ever-intrepid Mikkelsen and Iversen set out to recover the journals and bodies of the ill-fated Denmark expedition leader Ludvig Milius Eriksen and cartographer Niels Peter Hagen. They recovered the lost records in a cairn at the head of Denmark Fjord, discovering that the Peary Channel does not exist. When they returned to the Alabama, mission complete, they discovered that the rest of the crew had abandoned the expedition, making it home on a passing whaler. Only Mikkelsen and his engineer, Iver Iversen, remained, 2 men alone against the Arctic, against time and against their own minds. They weren't just looking for documents now. The new mission was survival. With the crew gone, they used salvaged timbers and planking from the Alabama to erect a small cottage. We can live for months without food and days without water, but sanity, that's a slippery beast. Here's where things get strange. 2 years of Arctic isolation isn't just about the cold, it's about what happens inside your head. Food ran low, hope ran lower. They ate the dogs and fought off bears. The isolation weighed on them, and soon the mind started to grasp at anything familiar, anything that felt normal. They stopped just staring at each other or gazing out at the ice, and they started staring at an old school photo. A completely ordinary picture of a Danish school class, something left behind from the ship, and for some reason, in their desperation, they latched onto it. They assigned names to the students, picking girlfriends. At first it was a joke, just a bit of fun. But then it became real. They began having conversations with their girlfriends. They developed elaborate backstories. Late at night, with the howling wind shaking Alabama cottage, their shelter, they debated which imaginary couple would end up together. Who would betray who? Who would thrive? Who would fail? In their minds, this grainy black and white relic became their connection to civilization. It was absurd, but in the void of the Arctic, it made sense. One night, Iversen swore he heard one of the girls whisper his name. Mikkelsen dreamt of a school dance, a grand event where the students, frozen in time, welcomed him back home. But every time he tried to join them, the ice cracked beneath his feet and he woke up shivering in the cold. Imagining 2 grown men wrapped in furs, starving, exhausted, debating the imaginary love lives of people they'd never met, because the alternative was accepting the truth. They might never make it out. But make it out they did. 2 winters after the expedition began, a ship appeared on the horizon and they were rescued in the direst of extremities by a Norwegian whaler in the summer of 1912. When the rescuers arrived, they couldn't believe what they saw. Mikkelsen had survived, but something had changed. Something had cracked. And then they took the photo. Mikkelsen stares into the lens, his eyes wide, wild, like he's seen something beyond what any of us should ever see. Like the Arctic still has a grip on him, and maybe it always will. So what was it all for? Mikkelsen did find the lost documents, returned as a hero. Denmark kept Greenland. His suffering, his madness, it meant something. He lived on, married Naya, his sweetheart, who wasn't on the old photograph. He wrote his story, Denmark honoured him, and he became a legend. But the Arctic leaves its mark. And if you look closely, even in his later years, that wild-eyed stare never really left, because some adventures change you forever. Before you go, if you like the content, don't forget to like and subscribe, as it really does help out the channel. And please, share the heckings out of this video. Ta-ra.